who should win the men's and women's Money in the Bank. We're going to give you our picks right now. I'm Will. That's Brandon. We're the Cousins of Destruction Wrestling Podcast. As always, let's cheers and let's talk about some wrestling, huh?
Let's talk about some wrestling. A few weeks away now.
Mm-hmm.
I believe 2 weeks away, roughly, and
we're in the bank season. That's for sure.
We're in the bank season. It's came up on us real quick.
It did.
It seems like just the other day, Mania was here, and
yeah,
some good wrestling, and now we're already to Money in the Bank.
We're already almost looking at SummerSlam, but let's get right into it. We're going to give our top 3 men and women each who we think are going to win the respected Money in the Bank. Should we start with the women or the men? Ladies always go first, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Would you like to go first or me?
Which one of us is a lady, I guess?
Me.
There we go.
I'm going to give it my honorable mention.
Ooh.
Honorable mention here, I'm going to list it, Dakota Kai. Dakota Kai, I would absolutely love her to break away from this current Damage Control run. I don't know what they're doing with it. The whole EOS guy going crazy thing. She said on Raw this week that Damage Control needs to change, and she's going to change it herself. As interesting as that doesn't sound, and it doesn't sound interesting to me, Dakota Kai needs to break away from that, and this would be a great way to do it. She could just win the Money in the Bank, climb down, and be like, "Look, I got this now. I'm cool with getting away from you crazy girls." Boost her into the main event spot where she deserves to be.
Yeah. Admittedly, I didn't do an honorable mention, but mine for the women, I guess, would be literally anyone in Damage Control, because
that's fair. That's fair.
It's the same exact reason. If I had to pick one, it would be Dakota Kai. That's been my girl for years. I guess if you want to go maybe outside, somebody I would want to win it, that would make no sense, but why not? Andy Hartwell.
Yeah.
Just give her something, I guess.
Yeah.
Have her break away from... no chance at all.
Yeah.
Actually, a negative chance. But have her break away from Candice LeRae, because that's also really bad.
Agreed. Well, let's start with our number 3. My number 3, I guess. My number 3 that I have on here to win the women's Money in the Bank is going to be Lyra Valkyria. Speaking of women that have current storylines and I just don't like, I don't like Lyra Valkyria's steam from her Queen of the Ring run being absolutely taken away from her and put into this Katana Chance, Kaden Carter group thing they have going. It's only a couple weeks into that, so, it's not like it's doomed right now, but her singles action seems a lot better, and giving her a Money in the Bank right away, you have an entire year to build her up with that and work her to the title scene at some point. It just feels like a match made in heaven for her.
Yeah, that's why I put her as my number 3 as well. I originally had a couple other people on the list, backed it off, and was like, well, she's kind of the most in limbo with the most promise out of the women wrestlers right now. It just makes sense. Like you said, everything when she was in the Queen of the Ring tournament was phenomenal. Yeah. And then we're just kind of pushing her to the side. Let's give people a reason to get back into her and be interested again. So that's why she's number 3 on my list as well.
Totally agree. Number 2 on my list, because she's recently no longer a champion, I'm throwing Jade Cargill into it. Give her the Money in the Bank. We speak about how we think the Money in the Bank should be utilized as you have a year to try to get there type of thing, right? I admittedly hate when they do the whole cash in on the night of. I hate that. Let them have the time like they did Damian Priest, because it ended up working out well. Same thing can go here. Huge name, legitimate threat to the women's division whenever she wants, but she needs a little bit more work. So just throw the Money in the Bank on her. She would do amazing in this match. The spots would be sick. She'd be throwing women around off the ladders and stuff. It'd be sweet. You'd then have some that could start the whole Bianca Jade fallout thing, because she could be like, "Look, we're a great team, but like, look what I got," type deal. So get that rolling. I just think it'd be a great spot to put her in.
Yeah, I originally had her on my list, but I took her off. I agree with what you're saying. I also had Bianca on my list originally. Took her off. So I understand exactly what you mean. It's a dynamic there that's interesting to see what's going to happen, because they took those tag belts off.
Yeah.
So who knows what's going to happen. My number 2, it's going to be Chelsea Green.
Chelsea Green.
She's doing some of the best character work, not only for the women, but just as a whole in WWE right now. She's great. I would like to see her wrestle a little bit more. So if people are like, "Oh, well, she doesn't wrestle enough," I completely understand.
That's why they call her the maximizer of minutes, man. Because it 60 seconds on screen, she stole the 60 seconds.
Yeah, that's all, and that's all you need. So I think she's kind of perfect. Would be a perfect character, at least with that Money in the Bank briefcase. Just I feel like it's kind of made for her, but I obviously would be like a failed cash in eventually. But who knows? I guess
She's got to watch out for that luchador though. Who's running around wild. And my number one, I think most lists are gonna have this person as their number one to win it because it just makes so much sense. My number one is going to be Tiffany Stratton. The princess of the WWE should become the princess of the Money in the Bank because she just fits the role. I mean, it almost feels like the perfect combination of time and character. She would turn that thing pink. It would be bedazzled. They could sell it. She would walk around every SmackDown with that thing just looming over everybody. They could still throw her into the Nia stuff if they're going to do that they've been teasing a little bit. It's just too perfect to pass down.
Yeah, that's why I have her as my number one.
Yep.
Odds-on favorite. I agree 1,000% with what you're saying. It's also, I said it was perfect for Chelsea Green. It's also perfect for Tiffany Stratton. And Tiffany has the in-ring to go with that where she doesn't really even need it. She could walk out there and demand a title shot. She's a legitimate factor in the women's division. Why not give it to her? I mean,
and the crowd's already way behind her. Tiffy time.
And if anything, LA Knight last year, you missed your opportunity then. You can't really miss it again.
Completely agree with that.
You might as well strap the rocket ship on her and just see how far she could take you. I mean, she's on every social media platform right now. She's like algorithms is boom, 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 boom. She's everywhere.
Yeah.
So they're already kind of starting to do that, I think. But there's no other woman that you can choose, even though the list hasn't fully been revealed. It just makes sense.
Yep. All right. You're up again. Who's your are you gonna do an honorable mention? You don't have to if you didn't.
Yeah, I'll go with honorable mention. I will go with Dom Mysterio for my honorable mention. I think as much as he's tied in with like the live stuff and everything, I would like to see him kind of get back into having something that Money in the Bank briefcase kind of fits the kind of the heel role that he plays, where he kind of just dodges around. He can be opportunistic, but he kind of runs away. But he also, I got this briefcase. He's got the backup in Judgment Day right now that could maybe help him out. I think somebody in Judgment Day gets that briefcase.
Yeah.
So I think they're kind of protecting him a little bit because he is coming off surgery. So you could still have him have the briefcase and you could still protect him until he is ready. And why not?
I completely agree with you. My honorable mention is someone who I don't think would be in a ladder match right now, but I just think it'd be great. Randy Orton. Randy Orton. Why? Because we all know that eventually him and Cody are going to butt heads. He, even after helping Cody at Clash when Cody was getting attacked from the Bloodline, everybody saw that image of Randy was staring at that belt. It's obviously something that's not happening quickly. Like we're not going to have a Randy turn. We all thought it might be at SummerSlam, but it doesn't feel like that's going to be the way it's going to go right now. That would be a really quick turn for him. But winning the Money in the Bank would guarantee that rivalry at some point down the line. And I just feel like that would be a really good way to keep Randy Orton's character where it is, so beloved by the crowd, and always kind of that tweener role without like trying to extreme turn him into a full-on heel again type deal. Just give him the Money in the Bank. I think it'd be great.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I had said when Randy was in the King of the Ring, I was like, yeah, why not give it to him? I'm always here for Randy Orton. So, yeah. My number 3.
Oh.
I went back and forth on the number 3, and even as I'm about to talk about it, I think there's 2 potential people that I could put at 3, which doesn't make sense because I had an honorable mention, but I didn't put this person there. But my number 3, I'm going to go with Chad Gable. I love the work that he's doing. It's pretty far-fetched. It's not really like I don't really see this happening.
He's dead.
Well, yeah, he is dead. but with him and Alpha Academy, that storyline, I don't really see it happening. I don't really see him going on to the main event scene yet, but it's just something that I would like to see happen because I want to see more of Chad Gable. Yeah. As much as I'm enjoying the Alpha Academy storyline, I want him to be around the title.
Yeah,
that's kind of the main reason why I'm putting him at 3.
We just spoke about on our Raw review how this week proved that they don't need a title around that, but Gable's work is so good that eventually he needs to be rewarded with that sort of trust from the WWE. So a Money in the Bank opportunity would be great because you could still have him lose it and give him something like the equivalent of a title for the time being with a Money in the Bank. So
Yeah, and I guess real quick before you go on to your 3, my other third option was potentially Kevin Owens. Canada, Toronto.
yeah,
Kevin Owens always just, I don't know. Not that I would want to see him with that either, but it just seems like he didn't really have anything to do.
yeah, true. I'm not gonna put him on the list. But
I would hope not, but
yeah. My number 3 is going to be Dominic Mysterio. You already said it, but I was thinking about it today, and I was like, you know, they're really starting to tease the idea of maybe Finn, but what about Dom? I mean, he's got Liv here. If it really does turn out to be something to where Liv and Dom are actually meshing under the scene and working together, it would really make sense for Liv to try to help Dom get the Money in the Bank so they can both end up being champions. It would lead to the inevitable Judgment Day split up, but maybe in a different way than we all kind of foresee it happening. And you already mentioned all your stuff that you have on Dom, but I was happy to hear you say that because I was like, you know what? Yeah, Dirty Dom with the suitcase would be sick.
Yeah, and we always talk about people that maximize their screen time, like we did with Chelsea Green. Like Dom is that as well.
And you just sit there and take booze.
Yeah, and whether people love him or hate him, because there's more people that hate him, but anytime he's on screen, he's going to get some type of reaction. So with that, we're going to go to my number 2. It's going to be Jey Uso, Mr. Yeet. Yeah, the Yeet-case. Money in the Yeet.
Money in the Yeet.
He's the odds-on favorite right now. Everybody kind of wants Jey to win that briefcase. I don't, but if you would have asked me a month ago, yeah, I would have wanted Jey to win the briefcase. He needs something. He's got to have something in terms of rewarding him for being as over as he is. Triple H posted him as like the first person with like a little picture.
Yeah, with him holding it.
With him, yeah.
I mean,
so right then and there, it tells you he's not winning that.
Oh, I don't know.
We'll put a bet on this one. I don't think he's gonna win it, but I wouldn't be surprised. Like I said, he's got to have something to eventually go on to, or else you kind of just waste him being so over. And if you give him a quick transitional title reign, like he wins it, cashes in at a pay-per-view, and Raw the next night or whatever, 2 nights after he loses it, like, oh, okay.
Yeah, that's all fair. I mean, I think it's. I looked at the promotional art that they posted him as the opposite. I'm like, this man is so already Money in the Bank. But anyway, my number 2, we're gonna stick with the Judgment Day, Finn Balor. Everybody has kind of predicted this and is kind of hoping on this, not just because it's starting to look a little obvious in their push. Yes, I know he lost a triple threat match on Monday, but the triple threat matches feel like they're triple threat matches because we're going to get some sort of losers bracket where like the last guy in is the loser of a few matches, right? I think that he finds a way in, and then everybody is thinking about this because it would just be a good play. Like it would Finn Balor, we say it 100 times in this podcast, he's the workhorse of the Judgment Day. He's there every week wrestling, every single week. He can be a main event guy to any day of the week. He can main event anything. He's phenomenal. It's time to say thank you for doing your 2 years of henchman work. Let's put you back into the title scene. Give him the Money in the Bank.
Yeah, I agree with everything you just said, which is why he's my number 1.
Ooh.
I got Finn Balor. I would pretty much try to lock this in. I've been saying it for a couple of weeks now. I think Finn Balor is going to win the Money in the Bank. I think he's going to go on. It's going to add a different dynamic with him and Priest. Obviously, they teased it on Monday with Raw with I'm going to cash in, and he pauses on Cody, obviously. Inevitably, it's going to be the breakup of Judgment Day.
Yep.
Or Priest is getting kicked out. Some way, somehow, something's getting shaken up. I think if I were to book it, Balor takes the belt off of Priest. I know you say you don't like him that night, but Priest beats Rollins. Finn cashes in. Judgment Day starts to crumble. Specifically because, and then Priest will help cost Balor back at SummerSlam versus Gunther.
You know damn well everybody's already thinking, WWE's already thought about that, and they're putting Damian Rollins on first. Seth Rollins is walking out first at Money in the Bank. That's the first thing we see.
You know, Seth always does typically go on first.
Yeah, he does.
But I would like to see that happen just because I want to sign me up for the Finn Balor Gunther match at SummerSlam. That's really what I want to see.
Yeah.
I don't really care how you get there. Obviously, I want Gunther to win that. and you can kind of have Judgment Day fall apart and not be around the title after that, because that storyline is going to be so good it doesn't
And
need a
Rhea
title.
eventually has to come back. So
Yeah. And so that's kind of where my head is, at least with transitioning from Money in the Bank to SummerSlam. And just sign me up for that Gunther Balor match, because that would be phenomenal.
Gunther would destroy him in the best way, and he'd be selling. Oh, good. Well, my number one is it's the obvious pick. It's Jey Uso, man. And then we on this podcast we're very lukewarm on Jey Uso, I would say. I'd say that we enjoyed his bloodline work. We've enjoyed this Yeet work a lot less kind of. We are critical of his in-ring work, but you can't deny the crowd. At the end of the day, the WWE Universe, they decide what happens in this place, and that man absolutely steals the show when he walks out. I wonder if they're going to keep the Yeet lights on him, or if that's now dead with the Uncle Howdy stuff. So that might take away from Jay a little bit, but
I mean, it would.
It would.
It absolutely
But
does.
then again, you can't tell people in the crowd not to turn your phones on. So I feel like that's not going to happen. But it's the obvious thing. The Yeet-case, Yeet in the bank, put Yeet on the thing, on the case, sell it, merchandise. I mean, you could just see his shirts. It's obvious for a reason. I'm taking it number one.
Yeah, it's obvious. Like you said, Yeet in the bank. You have it blue, and him and Tiffany have custom briefcases, which I always like the custom briefcases. The only pushback I have is because of that Howdy stuff. That's the only reason why I'm like, I don't want him to win that, because if you somehow have him and Howdy kind of cross paths and Howdy or maybe costs him or something like that, I just don't want him to have that briefcase and be tied up in that storyline, because I feel like it's kind of like, oh, well, why did you win it? Like, now I know for the next 2 months, 3 months, there's no chance of you cashing that in, and it kind of ruins the element of surprise for me, just delays it a little bit.
Yeah, I understand that. What if the lights go out and Howdy's just sitting at the top of the ladder with the briefcase?
Well, I don't know.
Please no. Hell no. Anyway, those are our top threes for the men and women's Money in the Bank winners. Let us know who you think is going to win these briefcases in a couple weeks here at Money in the Bank. Follow us on all socials at COD WrestlePod, COD WrestlePod, and listen to us wherever you get your podcasting at Spotify, Apple, etc. And share us with all your friends if you enjoy the content. I'm Will. That's Brandon. We're the Cousins of Destruction. We'll see you next time.